All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. Today is the day. The Flash officially gets released this evening, and I will have a brand new review tonight as soon as I get back. So keep an eye out for that brand new review. And today is the last day. I will be wearing my Flash shirt. This shirt is finally getting retired after being used for 10 years. This shirt, I purchased it actually at Walmart 10 years ago when Man of Steel came out, and there were a series of shirts. I got a Batman shirt, I got a Superman shirt, and I got a Flash shirt, and it is time to retire these shirts. This one and the Batman shirt is starting to fade a little bit. Superman shirt still looks brand new, but these have been worn and used and still look pretty good, but I'm going to be retiring them and just holding them back as part of my DC collection of merchandise. All right, so as the title suggests, there is a civil war still going on within Warner Brothers, even though people don't want to believe that it is happening. There are two camps at Warner Brothers. You have the James Gunn, Peter Safran, DCU camp, and then you have the Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca, and soon to be somebody else being added to that list. And we're going to take a look at this here today. The big news dropped yesterday, and it is being covered by Variety, so it is happening. And we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to see what it means. But I do have one other photo we're going to look at first before I show you the two photos in regards to the story I just referenced. But let's take a look at what we have here. So there were a lot of things in that James Gunn interview with Michael Rosenbaum that, I do encourage people to go actually watch it. It was an hour and I think 45 minutes long, if I'm not mistaken. And I did watch the whole thing. And I didn't take notes while I was watching it, so I just pulled out certain things. But the topic of Lex Luthor was brought up during that podcast. And they threw shade at Zack Snyder. It was pretty sad, actually. And again, I don't like Gunn for this stuff. Gunn has an ego like no other. He can do no wrong. And the people who follow and like James Gunn, they will also defend him to the ends of the earth. I am not one of those, Snyder defenders the way people make me out to be. I love his films. I think they are the greatest DC films. But I don't want him to do everything. And I never did. James Gunn, on the other hand, is having his hands in everything. He's writing, he's directing, he's producing, and he's too hands-on, in my opinion. They need to let some other people in here, and hopefully they're going to get some creative control over this. But James Gunn did say that his Lex Luthor will be grounded and real if he's introduced in the DCU. So he's not saying he's going to be introduced, but if he is, he's going to be more of the powerhouse. And that's the thing that Michael Rosenbaum and both James Gunn talked about in the podcast, is that they definitely were throwing shade at Jesse Eisenberg being kind of a wacky, out there type of character. We never got to see him, morph into the Lex Luthor that we needed, which was going to happen with the Legion of Doom. At the end of Justice League, we did see that scene where they were getting put together. But at any rate, this was discussed also during that podcast, and you guys should go check out the whole thing. There's lots of interesting tidbits in there. So let's talk about the big news here. This was actually picked up by Discussing Film, and yes, this is the actual true Discussing Film account. Warner Brothers wants Christopher Nolan to return to the studio and is inviting them to the lot. He has also been paid a 7-figure bonus for Tenet as a sign of good faith. Now, I took this with a little grain of salt, but then it was reported by Variety today. And here's what the Variety article talks about. Warner Brothers wants Christopher Nolan back in the family, says film co-chief Mike DeLuca. In addition to inviting the director to the speak on the lot, Variety has learned Nolan was recently paid a 7-figure bonus tied to the 2020 Warner Brothers release of Tenet. This is huge, guys. This is huge. Let's talk about what this actually means. There are two different movie divisions going on within Warner Brothers. Anybody who claims that that is not happening is completely out there. It is a fact that James Gunn and the DCU have nothing to do with the Batman. has nothing to do with the Joker 2, have nothing to do with these probably elsewhere stories that are going to be taking place. They might, but they also might not. There might be two completely different DC divisions going on within Warner Brothers. These elsewhere stories are probably going to be handled by DeLuca, Abdy, and Christopher Nolan. And this brings up some interesting possibilities for the future. You could say, move on all you want, but there are those of us who want to see the conclusion to Zack Snyder's story. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care about the negative comments that are going to be posted. I just don't care. There is a huge faction of people that want to see that story concluded and deserve to see that story concluded. That opportunity does still exist within that other side of the movie division. Abdy, DeLuca, and also now looks like it is going to be Christopher Nolan. This is good news because Christopher Nolan is the one who has made the most profitable films for Warner Brothers, and he definitely has the know-how how to get this back on track. You can let Gunn do his thing, but I do believe that this is Plan B in action, and they're laying the foundational framework to be able to move in that direction if things go south with James Gunn. They're already putting those corner pieces in so that if that happens, they can fast track certain things, and I do believe that is what is happening. You can call me delusional, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, you could do whatever you want, but this is the way the movie division works. There's always things going on behind the scenes that we don't see, and this is something that was publicly released yesterday and talked about. And yeah, there are things definitely going on. This could also lead to the release of the Ayer cut because James Gunn has no control over whether the Ayer cut gets released or the extended Schumacher cut of the Batman film. Not Batman and Robin, but Batman Forever. And it's very interesting what is happening. There is definitely two different camps, two different mindsets, two different things going on within Warner Brothers, and it doesn't get enough press. And I will be talking more about that as information gets released, and I will be covering it on my channel. Because I'm going to tell you right now, James Gunn is not my taste, and he's not the taste of a lot of people. People can keep that juvenile, stupid humor. Like I said, The Flash is full of it. The one thing that is clear here, though, is that the Batman will be staying within his own universe. That is not going to be filtered into the DCU. In the Flash film, when they show they do the whole montage of all of the DC Universe stuff, the Batman is nowhere to be found. And that is something that the director has done he's gone to great lengths to keep his universe separate from the DCU. And that is exactly what is happening with the movie division at this point. So we are having two different factions within Warner Brothers that are going to be developing films for Warner Brothers moving forward, and it's going to be interesting to see how many people gravitate towards the Elseworlds. I keep saying elsewhere. The Elseworld. I can't even talk today. The Elseworld stuff, as well as just the regular DCU stuff, because I have a feeling that is not going to be part of my taste. Now, I will still be covering all of it, but yeah, and I will tell you this. I'm always going to be objective with my movie reviews. I may knock on James Gunn all the time, and you guys are going to hear me talk about that, but when it comes to actually reviewing movies, I am able to disassociate myself from the studio behind the film, and I can look at the film as it is, its own entity, and I can absolutely do that, and I always have, and I will never be allowed to be bought. That is the one thing is, the studios will never be able to purchase me or schmooze me to give a positive review on something. I am always, and this is my promise, I will always give you my honest review on every movie that I actually see. As more information comes out for The Flash, you could see that a lot of people think it has way too much humor in it. And I told everybody from the beginning that the movie is a comedy first with everything else secondary. And it's a shame. But I will have that review tonight, probably in about 15 hours from now. So if there's no other big news released between now and then, my next DC video will be that review for The Flash. I do appreciate all the support. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go up.